Hello everyone, I'm in downtown Los Angeles in the area that is also known as Skid Row, and basically pretty much like right in the center of it, looking towards the west, that would be downtown, the US Bank building right in the center, and off to the right the Wells Fargo building. And we're not too far from the nicer part, maybe half mile to the west, and this is 5th Street here, and the cross street up ahead is Los Angeles Street, and there's just some outdoor vendors here and whatnot. So this is basically where it kind of Skid Row basically starts, and looking towards the east, you start to get into an area where people are camping out, and very heavily populated with homeless people. And that brown building off to the center left there, right next to that street light, that would be the Los Angeles Mission. And this is what Skid Row looks like when you pull up a map of downtown Los Angeles. And it's actually a fairly large area of downtown. The Skid Row is in the red lines, and on the left hand side, that would be going towards the west, would be Main Street, and to the east would be Alameda, and to the north would be 3rd Street, and to the south would be 7th. So that would make the 3 square mile area that is known as Skid Row. And it seems like the merchants here, they're just kind of getting going or leaving for the day. Even this part is a little bit sketchy, but as we'll find out just walking a couple blocks to the east, it's like entering a third world country. And anyway, just to give some background on Skid Row, though not considered a tourist destination, Skid Row is a big part of Los Angeles. The Wikipedia definition of the term Skid Row or Skid Road refers to an area of a city where people live who are on the skids, and is said to derive from a logging term. Loggers would transport their logs to a nearby river by sliding them down roads made from greased skids. Loggers who had accompanied the load to the bottom of the road would wait there for transportation back up the hill to the logging camp. So that's the Wikipedia definition of Skid Row. But yeah, that definition of Skid Row, that kind of gets lost on me a bit. I wouldn't even compare this to a logger's camp. I mean, at least not the ones that come to mind. And continuing on, the population of Skid Row in 2019 was approximately 5,000 people, spread out over 3 square miles. And see, we just walked the block here, and it's actually changed quite a bit. And off to the left, here's the Los Angeles Mission, which appears to be closed because of the COVID-19, the virus. And historically speaking, this part of Los Angeles has been home to homeless people for quite some time. just a lot of people camping out. Basically, you'll see this just kind of block after block. In some ways, it's almost pointless to continue walking because it's just like this for the next probably mile. And so we're pretty much right in between downtown and the Los Angeles jail is about a mile to the east of here. So if we continue walking for the next maybe 20 minutes, we could get to the jail, but I don't think I could make it that far though. At least not holding on to a camera anyway. And we are now crossing San Pedro Street and still on 5th. And the thing is with this part of town is not only does it look bad, but it smells terrible. It's pretty obvious that most people don't have access to a restroom here. I'm just walking back here towards the west, towards Los Angeles Street, and back towards the nicer part of downtown. There's the US Bank building off in the distance. Some people, they didn't like the idea of me walking around with a phone, and even though I told them the camera wasn't on, some people were getting upset. It's probably just not a good idea in general to be walking around this part of downtown Los Angeles with a smartphone. So just walking back here towards the market area. And it's a bit better over here. This is Los Angeles Street here, and I was still on 5th Street. And it looks like most of these merchants are packing up for the day as well. It's about 3:30 right now, so I guess they're leaving early. But there's lots of other streets on this side of town that are pretty much the same way. And I'm still walking down Los Angeles Street, and just gonna walk over to 7th, which basically is the same thing. Actually, all these streets are pretty much the same once you walk to the east. And though by definition Skid Row is between 7th and 3rd, I mean, I could probably just walk down here and it would pretty much be the same. And this is Maple and 6th Street. And pretty much looking up and down every one of these streets is basically the same thing. Just a lot of people camping out. And so far today, I've been walking around here for maybe about the last hour, and I have not seen one public restroom. So I don't know. Judging from the smell, I would assume that people are just going to the bathroom on the street, basically. Here's some interesting architecture here off to the right. Looks like a apartment building. And the next street here is Wall Street, but this doesn't look like the good Wall Street that like you would normally think of in New York or whatnot. And still on 6th Street. I'm not sure how far I'm going to be going up here. It's pretty much like this for the next like mile or so. This is a fairly large area where it's just people camping out on the sidewalk and on the street. And the next street is San Julian Street, and today is Sunday, so I think they're having a church service here.
There's reward for faithful service. Eternal life is a gift, God's gift. But there is reward for faithful service. We find in Scripture. For those who suffer for Christ, God knows.
Yeah, they are having church service here, and this looks like this could be a mission because people are lined up. I think people are lined up for food. And I'm still on 6th Street here. And these buildings off to the right, they look pretty vacant to me. I mean, looks like just vacant warehouses. And this is a mission. It's called the Midnight Mission, and all those people are lined up to probably get a room for the night. And that building certainly is not big enough to house all these people, so if you cannot get a room, then you are left camping out here on the street with everybody else. And just gonna walk down. This is San Pedro Street. Just gonna kind of loop around on 7th, but every single street is the same. It doesn't matter which one you walk down. It's pretty much like this for 3 square miles. And I made it to 7th Street here, and pretty much every street is just packed with homeless people in tents. It doesn't really matter which street you go down here. And I just walked a little bit further down San Julian Street to 8th, and surprisingly the information on Wikipedia is actually pretty accurate, because Skid Row is just right down there. It starts at 7th, and this is 8th Street, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference, at least as far as the merchants go. I mean, these people are selling flowers and a bunch of different flower and rose shops, and though there's some tents set up on the sidewalk, things actually improved quite a bit to the south, just walking 1 block. So I'm gonna walk back up and see what else I could check out. And I'm just walking west on 8th Street, and Still some flower shops open here off to the left, and some people camping out here on the sidewalk to the right. But you know, you got, like, besides the flower shops, like this bike rack here, they rent bicycles, so you have like some sort of improvements happening. But you don't have to really walk too far to where you're back in the Skid Row area here. And this next street coming up is Wall Street, so this will take you right there. And for some reason people like to camp out on Wall Street, so let's see how far you have to walk down here before you start getting into the people camping out, whatnot. Seems pretty quiet so far. Most of these shops are still closed, and I think that's mostly because of the COVID-19 virus. And even got a bunch of old flowers and trash dumped out here. I'd rather have flowers dumped out in front of my tent than some other things that I've seen. And the building to the left is called the Southern California Flower Market. So that makes sense why we're seeing so many flowers. It looks like here's another flower shop directly ahead. Some pretty nice flowers set up here. And it looks like, I wonder if these are real. I don't think so. No, those aren't real. How can they have fake flowers at a Los Angeles flower market? Anyhow, continuing on. Must be fun driving this 18-wheeler truck in downtown Los Angeles. It's hard enough just driving a car. So these truck drivers really have their work set out for them. And looks like we are entering the Skid Row part here more so. And that building still says the flower market there. And what is this? Say a florist. Almost dropped my glasses there. And we're still on Wall Street, almost to 7th. So technically this 7th Street, according to Wikipedia, is the start of Skid Row. And actually it is pretty darn accurate, because definitely seen more tents. And even in the middle of all this, there's still some new construction, like this building here. I'm not sure if that's a for homeless people, or if it's a free market apartment building, but it's a newer building. And looking towards the east, down 6, looks like there's more tents set up. But I'm just going to continue walking down Wall Street. I'm just curious how far I can get here before someone yells at me for having a phone, or basically tries to steal the damn thing. And the building to the left is called the 649 Lofts. So those look like those are apartments. almost getting run over here in the street because I can't really walk on the sidewalk. And it looks like there's some more apartments here to the right. These have the bars on the windows. It's a pretty good idea. Certainly not the Wall Street of New York City here. A lot of tents coming up, so I can't even use the sidewalk. Gotta get back out on the street. Might as well just walk on the other side of the street so at least I can see when the cars are coming. And there's actually people living in these things. It's a telephone. And I'm now on Broadway Street, still in downtown Los Angeles, just between 3rd and 4th. And I'm starting to get into a little bit better part of downtown. And there's all the bank buildings there, US Bank and Wells Fargo off to the right. And here's a outdoor dining area. Looks like there's a couple bars and restaurants and a bunch of other closed shops. Mostly it seems because of the COVID-19 virus. Everything's closed, so it's not like Skid Row basically, but Skid Row is very close. And just gonna walk up here to 5th Street and basically kind of right like in the middle there's the good part of downtown Los Angeles, and the not so good part is just 2-3 blocks to the east. So kind of right in the center. And here's some more outdoor dining. This one's called Casa India. So sounds like a mix between Indian food and Mexican food. And most of these other businesses are closed. Looks like coffee shop across the street which is closed. And this is 4th Street here. It looks like some of those stores up there are boarded up. So some of this stuff has been closed for quite some time. Just looking up 4th Street here, and that's the City National Bank. And down this way, down 4th Street, maybe 2-3 blocks would be Skid Row. And I'm back on 5th Street and Broadway. And this is looking towards the west on 5th Street, towards the bank buildings. And my hotel is about 3 blocks up this way. And looking east on 5th Street, about 3 blocks the other way would be the Los Angeles Mission and the Skid Row. So pretty much just right in the center of things here. And doesn't seem to be too bad a part of town, though most of the businesses are closed, but that's probably because of the COVID-19 virus. And that business over there looks to be boarded up, and it's probably been closed for quite some time. But just walking back to my hotel, and this is just to give everyone an idea of how close things are. It's not too far from the good side of town to the bad part. And this is Hill Street coming up, and this would be the Los Angeles Metro, or one of the stations for the Metro train. It's Pershing Square Station. And this is Hill Street. And basically, if I were to make a right here on Hill Street, all the courts are up here, the Los Angeles Superior Courts and whatnot. And this is Pershing Square Garage. It looks like on top of the parking garage they have a park-like area set up, which is, I guess, is a good idea to have another park. Can't really see over the wall there, so I'm not sure if it's open to the public or whatnot. And just get into the banking district here. Next street is Olive, and I'm still on 5th. And that second large building, that's the US Bank building. And the Wells Fargo one that we were seeing before off to the distance, that should be to the right of the US Bank building. And I think the Wells Fargo building is, yeah, there it is, right over there. And this is looking up Olive Street, and still walking west on 5th. And this big building here looks like that's the gas company building, and that's really, can't really see because of this tree, but it's almost as tall as the US Bank building. And I was wondering about that. What building? I thought these were old bank buildings, and they mostly are banks, but this one is a little different. And here's a hotel to the right here. This is the Biltmore Hotel, and looks kind of empty. Not even sure if that's even open. And this next street is Grand Avenue. And it looks like there's another bank building there. That's called Torrey Pines Bank. And behind there, that's the US Bank building. I think the US Bank building might be the largest building in downtown Los Angeles. Looks like some road rage going on. And off to the left, this is the Los Angeles Public Library. And they also have the bike rentals at the library as well. So maybe next time I take a tour around Los Angeles, I'll have to rent a bike. Just one more thing that'll get stolen from you. I'm not sure how they would deal with that. Being that it's a public bike, I guess you can't really steal something that's public. So here's the Los Angeles Library, which is looks closed because, not just because it's a Sunday, but also the COVID virus pretty much closed everything. And here's the front of the US Bank building. And I'm not sure what this other building is here. Looks like just another office building. It doesn't look to be condos or anything. And this is the way to the 110 freeway. It says 110 north and south. And we're still in front of the Los Angeles Library. It's a pretty big library. I'd say it takes up about maybe 3-4 blocks. And more office buildings in the center. That's a bank building. Let's see what it says. It's the Union Bank. And to the right, that's the hotel where I'm staying at, the Westin Hotel. It's fairly nice hotel. Got a deal on Priceline. Otherwise, I would usually just stay near the airport. But every once in a while, they do have deals here. And it's actually an okay part of town to stay in. I don't have any complaints so far, besides the traffic. But since I'm not driving right now, that I really not too concerned about that. And it looks like here's the City National Bank building we were seeing earlier, and another office building next to it. And I'm still at the Westin Hotel, just looking across the street. There's a overpass, and pretty much like the rest of Los Angeles, even in the good parts of town where there's a bridge or an overpass, there's probably going to be people camping out. So probably you should keep that in mind too if you come to downtown Los Angeles. And basically just they're not bothering anybody, but just try to be safe and careful.